Right, let's dive straight into this explainer about something deeply, deeply inconvenient. I'm talking about the reflex that has been derailing serious meetings, awkward first dates, and, speaking from personal experience here, tense performance reviews since the dawn of humanity. Yep, the contagious yawn. We've all been there, right? You're sitting in a stuffy conference room, and the CEO is droning on about Q3 financials, and suddenly your jaw starts dropping open like a medieval drawbridge. You try to stifle it, your eyes are watering, your nostrils are flaring, but it is literally entirely out of your control. Today, we're going to explore the absolutely fascinating science of why you physically cannot stop yourself. Actually, I want you to look at that word on the screen. Honestly, I'm betting that just by reading it, seeing those four letters, or even just hearing me say the word yawn right now, you are physically fighting the urge to do it. Your brain is already betraying you. So, are you doing it yet? Be honest. If you're helplessly stretching your jaw right now and taking in a massive gulp of air, congratulations. You aren't rude, you aren't horribly bored, and you probably don't need another cup of coffee. You're just a highly evolved primate experiencing contagious yawning. Research shows that about 60 to 70% of us are what scientists actually call catchers. Basically, that means you physically cannot stop yourself from yawning when you see, hear, or even just think about someone else doing it. It's this wildly powerful phenomenon. But to really understand why it happens, we have to look inside your head. Section 1, blame your mirror neurons, the brain's empathy engine. So, catching a yawn isn't a sign of bad manners at all. It's actually an uncontrollable evolutionary marker of empathy. This automatic mimicry, which is also known as the chameleon effect, is driven by your brain's mirror neuron system. Think of these as specialized cells that fire both when you do something and when you watch someone else do it. They essentially force you to sync up with the people around you. It's like your brain has a built-in Wi-Fi receiver that's constantly downloading the room's social cues. Now, we need to make a quick distinction here. Spontaneous yawning, doing it just because you're tired, is evolutionarily ancient. Snakes do it, fish do it, but, well, they aren't exactly known for their deep emotional connections. Catching a yawn from a coworker, though, that requires highly advanced social cognition. In fact, it doesn't even fully develop in humans until we're about 4 years old, mainly because babies' empathy networks are still, under construction. And we actually have the fMRI brain scans to prove it. Seeing a yawn literally lights up the exact same neural networks we use for empathy and emotional connection. Specifically, we're talking about fancy areas like the posterior cingulate and the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. This completely bypasses your conscious thought. So, science has officially turned your perceived social flaw into a biological badge of honor. You aren't checked out, your brain is aggressively checking in. Moving on to Section 2, the empathy connection. The social hierarchy of yawns. Because this whole thing is tied to empathy, you don't just catch a yawn from anyone. According to the research, there's actually a strict hierarchy. You are most likely to helplessly copy a yawn from your family members. Next in line are close friends, then casual acquaintances, and dead last are complete strangers. It's basically an unconscious gauge of your emotional closeness. Your brain is quite literally saying, hey, I care about you, so I'm mirroring your vibe. And you know what? We aren't the only ones doing this. Look at this data from bonobos, our evolutionary cousins. The chart perfectly mirrors our own human behavior. Bonobos catch significantly more yawns from their kin and best friends than they do from weak acquaintances. It's this shared ancestral trait that beautifully connects social bonds directly to physical reflexes. What's even more hilarious is that the data reveals that in the female-dominated bonobo society, the males are wildly susceptible to catching yawns from females. Essentially, the male bonobos are desperately trying to show they are tuned in to the bosses. So next time you accidentally yawn right after your manager does, just remember you're participating in an ancient primate tradition of sucking up to leadership. All right, Section 3, chimps, bonobos, and androids. Let's look at the weird science. To test the absolute limits of this hardwired monkey mimicry, scientists did something truly bizarre. They built a super creepy, disembodied humanoid android head, packed the whole thing with 33 servo motors to perfectly execute human facial expressions, and then they just placed it in front of 14 adult chimpanzees to see if they could resist an artificial yawn. And guys, the chimps absolutely fell for it. Over 57% caught the yawn from the robot. It was a graded response, too, so the wider the robot opened its terrifying mechanical mouth, the more contagious the yawn was. But here is the most incredible part. After seeing the android do it, the chimps actually started gathering bedding materials to lie down and sleep. I mean, really think about that for a second. A fully grown adult chimpanzee is just as helpless against a disembodied android's fake yawn as a mid-level manager is against copying their boss's yawn on a Tuesday morning Zoom call. It triggers this entire unstoppable cascade of behavioral syncing. The crucial takeaway here is that this mechanism is so deeply embedded in our social wiring that a yawn acts as a universal, undeniable contextual cue. It crosses species, it crosses over to completely non-biological robots, and it is 100% out of your conscious control. Finally, Section 4, your evolutionary free pass. So the very next time someone glares at you for yawning loudly while they're speaking, do not apologize. Instead, I want you to cite this exact quote from a peer-reviewed paper in PLOS 1. Look them right in the eye and tell them that your yawn simply reflects a profound involuntary capacity to feel their emotional state. Remind them that by catching that yawn, your ventromedial prefrontal cortex is basically giving them a giant empathetic neurobiological hug. You are bonding, okay? You're just a highly attuned social creature maintaining group cohesion, exactly like a bonobo. I highly recommend taking the evolutionary free pass. Own the empathy. But seriously, before we wrap up this explainer, I just have to ask, how many times did you yawn while watching this? Because if you made it all the way to the end without your jaw dropping even once, well, we might need to go ahead and check your mirror neurons.